Hi there, students. I'm going to give you a little demonstration of the process that you will be going through in your peer review of your partner's lesson plan using the SIOP lesson plan grading checklist, which is in content. The first thing that I want you to note is that each of the components of SIOP are identified here: preparation, building background, lesson delivery and strategies, comprehensible input and interaction, practice application, lesson delivery, and review and assessment. And each of these components has underneath it several identified elements with points associated, so that your lesson plan under preparation, the lesson plan must present new content, and that is worth 1 point. That there must be written content objectives and differentiated language objectives for ELLs, and that is worth 1 point. And that you must identify supplementary materials to use, graphs, models, visuals, and that is worth half a point. And the total number of elements or points is, or the total number of points is 25. The total number of elements that need to be present in the lesson, that you will be evaluating your lesson for these 28 specific elements. I want you to pay particular attention to this, that your key vocabulary be significantly expanded. This is an area that people often forget. That your language objectives must be differentiated by your low, middle, and high skill level ELLs. And that your assessments must also be differentiated for ELL level. And the last, that your games are used to develop the lesson concepts, so that you don't just have a Jeopardy board review, but the games are actually used to help students understand and develop the lesson concepts and content area knowledge. So this is the SIOP lesson plan grading checklist. Let's take a look at a lesson over here from a previous class, and I will show you how I would go about using the checklist in order to evaluate this lesson. The first thing I look at is, does it present new content? Well, in order to determine that, I will need to look through the lesson. So I will quickly check to see whether or not this is in fact new content. Examples of skulls. Tell students they will begin participating in a group project on evolution and adaptation. Yes, this is new content. So in order to indicate that this is new content, I will highlight this text. I will mark it red so that it's easy for my partner and for my professor to see that it's there, because you will be putting both the checklist and the marked lesson in the drop box. And I will mark here preparation 1, because this is the first question under preparation. Let me go back, the first element. So here, lesson plan presents new content. Here I have it indicated, yes, this is preparation 1, and evidence of preparation 1. So preparation 2, written content objectives, and what else? Differentiated language objectives for ELLs. Well, let me go back to that lesson and let's look at her language objectives. Where are those language objectives? I'm trying to scroll slowly so as not to make anyone sick. Here are the language objectives. We'll be able to participate in group discussion, able to discuss. I don't see any evidence. These are wonderful ELL objectives, but I don't see any real differentiation. And now underneath here, there's some beginning 7-8, intermediate 7-8, advanced 7-8. This is not explicit enough for our purposes. I need there to be something explicitly here. Students will be able to participate in group discussion. Well, how am I really very basic? Is this really a reasonable expectation for a very early beginning ELL? No, this would not be an appropriate language objective. Doesn't mean that I can't include it, but I need to have, will be able to participate in creation, drawing of their extinct animal. These need to be more explicit. So under language objectives, here, I'm going to insert a comment here. I'm going to attempt to insert a comment here. And I'm going to say these need to be differentiated for the 3 levels of ELL. And then, so I have this indicated, and then also here, yes, I could give her 1 point for the lesson plan presenting new content. I can only give her half a point here because she has content objectives, but she does not have differentiated language objectives. Let me go back. Let's check here. Identify supplementary materials to use. Now I'm on preparation 3. So I'm going to go here and see whether or not the materials are identified. See key vocabulary. Computer projector, white screen picture. Yes, I see. Yes, I see images of the skull. Yes, I see that she has, yep, skulls. She has some very good materials here, supplemental materials. So here I will highlight this, indicate that, and I will put preparation -3. So I can see that in fact this has been done, and my colleague will also be able to see that this is adequate. So I will put 0.5. So I think that this should be clear enough to you that your job is to very explicitly evaluate the lesson for each one of the components listed on the checklist, the SIOP lesson plan grading checklist, and you will explicitly indicate to your colleague whether or not the material or the component is completely evident, or if it is not evident, to point out to your colleague exactly what needs to be done. And this can be, I would hope that there would be opportunity for discussion, but at the very least you will be providing for your colleague this tool to evaluate the lesson plan so that they can receive the highest number of points for their final lesson plan and demonstrate mastery of the concepts we've worked on in this class. Both of these documents will be deposited to the Dropbox, both the lesson plan with your corrections or commentary or simple evaluation and the checklist. They need to be identified both as who the student is, who the evaluator is in both of those documents. So that can very easily be done by putting up here, you could just put, I'll put student A and evaluator. Me, and then I'll make this very easy to identify as well. And I will be putting the same information here on the lesson plan checklist. Somewhere on the lesson plan checklist you would indicate the same thing. You would put the student's name and then evaluator Israel, and again indicate this in an ink color that will be easy to this is very interesting. It doesn't want me to do this. Let's see if it'll let me do the text color in a color that will show up. Sometimes a Mac, usually a fabulous machine, sometimes is a little bit more complex than I need. At any rate, this is the strategy that I would like you to use, and hopefully this has been clear enough for you to be successful with this project. And